Hey Sevenfold Speedrunners, today I'm going to be showing you how to beat Avenged Sevenfold Fortnite Museum in under 10 minutes for the speedrun competition. I realized that some of you were saying, yeah, that's way too fast, I can't do under 10, I don't know how to, and you pretty much were already giving up. I saw a few people already saying that, and everyone should have a fair chance, so today I'm going to be explaining how to actually beat this in under 10. I realize some of you may not be gamers, but because this is Avenged Sevenfold, you wanted to give it a try. So let's go ahead and explain to you some of the strats that speedrunners use to actually beat things in a wicked quick time. The first thing to note is that this is a game under Fortnite. So some of the things are based on Fortnite's, design decisions and not Avenged Sevenfold specifically, such as this interact right here. Unfortunately, because of how Fortnite is done, you have to push the X button before you can do any other controls. So if I were to try to sprint right now while this prompt is still up, you might say, obviously you're not going to sprint, which is true. However, it will bug the game out. It will cause a bug where you have to pull the menu out to see the mini map and then undo that to basically return, losing you a precious second, which those seconds do add up. But that time where you have to fix the glitch, that screws you. So before you even try to move forward, push the interact button. Then start sprinting. And you'll notice that I was already looking towards this pillar right here because the fastest time between 2 points is a straight line. So I'm not going to be going over here or anything like that. But yeah, let's just, not waste much time. I have personal checkpoints like this tree, 8 seconds for the tree, so I'm fine. And I'm going to note some important things early on, and then hopefully you guys will understand them as we continue to reuse them. But one thing to do here, and this is kind of something helpful, especially for later on in the run, I'm at the generator right now, and you can see the fence or the gate that's, obviously closing you off from going that way. Well, we're going to be there later, so what you're going to want to do is as soon as you activate the generator and turn around, count how long it takes for you to get to like the end of the cave. Just count that in your head. How many seconds does it take for you while sprinting to get from the generator to there? The next thing to note is the computer sequence. This is the first time that you're going to have a cutscene in play. So obviously you're going to have to answer the questions first, which is sounding the seventh trumpet, followed by Waking the Fallen, then City of Evil, and then self-titled album. And it really just comes down to muscle memory of memorizing where the answers are for each page because they're all the same answers every time and in the same spot. It's purely muscle memory. What's more important, though, is where you're standing. What you can tell is I am standing at a slight diagonal angle from the computer, not straight on. The reason is you can see the fence behind me. As soon as the cutscene starts, I'm going to move my character a little bit to the left and then straight forward. So during cutscenes, you are completely locked out of your camera. You have other options available, like pretty much every other button is available to be used during the cutscenes, but your camera is locked out. So what that means is while facing this direction, I can move 0.5 seconds to the left and then immediately start sprinting forward, and I'll basically be running against the wall. As long as I'm kind of, moving my run a little bit to the right, I should be fine. And you'll see where I end up. I did push myself a little bit to the right too much, but you can see the sprinting icon, which tells me that I'm sprinting. But now I'm no longer in front of the computer. Most of the time, you'd be in front of the computer because that's where you left off after you interacted. But because I moved during that little cutscene, I'm now already closer to my destination, which saves me a ton of time. Every single time you activate one of those, just figure out where you should be moving. And like I said, you're not locked out of your cardinal directions, so you can still move forward, backwards, left, and right. You just can't look around. Like, you can't move your camera. But the next time you're going to do that is the bust in the first room here. So what you'll notice here is that I'm immediately facing the bust, and during this, what I'm doing is I am moving a little bit backwards, mostly backwards, but also a little bit to the left, but not a ton to the left because I don't want to push myself into this wall right here. I also don't want to do primarily backwards because if I don't move enough to the left, I will end up going back out the door, the window, the same way I came in. And you want to avoid that because that's a big mistake with speedrunning. You don't want to make that. So move a little bit to the left and primarily backwards. And what you'll actually notice here, if I can get the pause correctly, right there, So you can see that white line, like that, this ever so slight white line. And this is something that if your eye is trained on this from speedrunning, right there, oh yeah, you saw it. The white line, like you can see it on the HUD too. That tells you where your player character is. If you see that, you'll know exactly where you are, so you'll know where to move with the cardinal directions while you're in the cutscene. But just continue to follow the same, steps for the main quest. Just basically move like I'm moving. There's nothing crazy here. And the only thing I would say is for this, before you start activating the cutscene here, line yourself up so that you're in a good enough position to just move ever so slightly to the left, like 0.25 seconds to the left, and then just bolt straight forward. It's pretty straightforward. Nothing crazy about that. And it will basically poop you out right there. Boom. Saving you a ton of time. Grab the boomerang, and now this is going to be excessively helpful. More than what you probably realize. So the way that they did this specific custom game is they removed the visibility of the player character. But the character still exists, obviously, because you're playing as him. But the boomerang is actually tied to the left hip of the player character, which comes in handy during cutscenes. Now, I want to touch on this because this is useful to know. You'll see which rock I'm currently standing on. I haven't gone any further, and I have no reason to, because you can see the object that we're trying to hit just underneath this boulder over here. Now, what's important to note is the boomerang has some decent collision on it, but also the object that we're trying to hit that's underneath the rock has some pretty solid collision on it too that extends ever so slightly beyond the object itself, which means if I were to throw this boomerang directly under the rock and give myself just enough space to clip, like barely clip the tip of that object, it will still hit it. You'll see. So I'm throwing it like right there. My center crosshair isn't exactly directly on it, but I'm still going to be able to hit it because it goes directly under the rock. Boom, collides with it. And now, while this cutscene is playing, I've jumped forward, hit the portal, and I'm now back at the museum, immediately able to enter into the next portal. Same thing here. Hit that, walk directly into the portal, back at the museum, last one. Now, something to note here is where I'm standing before throwing this. I'm behind this tree, and you can see the area that we're going to next in the right-hand corner. Throw the boomerang from here, hit directly between these two objects, or these two walls, maybe billboards, I don't know what they're called. But regardless, throw it from here, hit the object, immediately turn 45 degrees to the right, and during this cutscene, just move forward. Now, use the boomerang to your advantage here. You can see I threw it. So you can see the effects right there. There's some effects kind of floating around, and that tells you where your player character is. Because you can kind of see the boomerang there. Boom. So go ahead and grab the sight of truth. And at this point, you just have to wait for this to be over because you have to turn around. And then what I do is I start from basically where I was, which is at the table, sprint forward ever so slightly, jump. And while I'm in midair, activate the sight of truth to get through that sky dome. Because that's all that is. A little dev trick. But when you're inside this circle right here, you can see the rest of the land is still here. But as soon as you activate this, boom, you're now in the sight of truth area. So as soon as you activate that sight, somehow you're magically teleported, but realistically, all you are is just inside of a bubble. Game dev tricks. Anyways, slide down here, position yourself where I am, basically at the door frame, and aim at the power switch. The reason for that is because as soon as you hit this power switch with the sight, you can let go of the sight, move backwards 0.25 seconds, move to the right 0.25, and then just bolt it straight forward. And if you've done everything properly, once the cutscene ends, you will be basically at the lobby again. And right now, I am at sounding the 7th trumpet in 2 minutes and 41 seconds. Not bad. Entering City of Evil. First thing you're going to want to do in City of Evil is just grab this. Don't even grab anything else. Just come up here, use the sight, grab that, and that's all you need. Put it in the slider right there. I spammed the crap out of my square button to basically make sure it went in. And you'll know it went in because the floor. Boom. Make sure you're standing at the right spots for this. The trigger seems to be, so you have to be standing in the correct spots. And what I mean by that is pretty much face straight on. So you can see I'm ever so slightly to the left side of it, but I'm not like standing over here. I'm not standing over here. I'm basically perpendicular with it, whatever. So I'm able to, get that trigger to activate on both of them. Boom, rotate, save yourself time. 180, and then sprint jump over that little rubble piece so that you can stand right where I am. You can see that I'm throwing the boomerang here. This is so that I know where I'm standing during this cutscene and get myself as close to this sword as humanly possible. So you can see I got the closed curtains thing, which means I'm pretty much standing directly on it. Interact with that, and then just at this point try to get yourself as close to the sign as possible, but you do want to be standing back. The reason you want to stand back is because the wall here, that crumbled wall, does extend a fair amount out, a little further than you might think. So stand a bit back, sign the name, and then as soon as you get that cutscene, move back like 0.50 seconds, move to the right 0.25, and then straight forward and to the right. Now, you'll notice that I did actually, hit the door, and that's fine. That just comes down to practice, making everything perfect and just, all that good stuff. But if you can do it right, you'll probably be like out there. But sometimes you do hit this, but it's better to be here than stuck back in the COE room still. So, take that as you will. But right now, I'm leaving the sounding the 7th trumpet room at like 3 minutes and 21 seconds. So I'm making good time here. That's how I know that. Now, for the self-titled album, there's a specific order that you're going to want to do this in. And just follow the one I have on screen. Do 2 of these at a time with the site active, though. The reason why I'm saying 2 is because you have to recharge the site every time you stop using it. Those seconds are precious. So hit the 2 that are close to each other, recharge it for that second or 2, and then do it again. So you might lose like a second here trying to get to the next one, but waiting to recharge is slower than doing that. So just do as I do, run straight here, repair this, run backwards and a bit left, and you'll get yourself as close to this fireplace as possible. And if you've done everything correctly, you should be in the graveyard by like 4 minutes and 10 seconds. You should be perfectly good right now. Currently, there is a known skip for this graveyard. I'm not going to show that in this video. This is just going to be for the straight approach tutorial, or guide, I guess. But yeah, just basically when you hit that one, I guess I didn't really talk about that one. But for this one, just kind of line yourself up where I am so that you're not even really straight on it. You're kind of at a 90-degree angle here. And then as soon as you activate it, just move to the left for like 2 seconds maybe, and then straight forward. I mean, at this point, you're kind of fine regardless because you can just make a small adjustment. It doesn't really matter too much, especially when you have a staircase right there that could block you if you don't move far enough, so regardless. And then activate the site when you get to where I was. Just do a lot of jumping. It speeds up your momentum. Boom, 4, 5. Try to get the 6 first. If you can get the 6, then let go, because then it makes you faster between getting 6 or between 7 and 8. Boom. There you go. Now fall in the hole. And if you've gotten here before like 4 minutes and 52 seconds, which I'm right here, so I'm fine, you can actually just get past the first watcher. Like, he's just not going to see you. As long as you're fast enough, you can get past them. They're all on the same timer every single game. But I will note one thing here. This is very important to note. So the first watcher seems to always be on his route from the start of the game, which is fine. But this guy right here seems to stay here quite often. And I've seen the other speedrunners show where they're doing like the little, what's it called, like the secret path here, like the graveyard skip, and he's just standing like right here. His cone of vision basically goes to like right around here somewhere, so if you get too close, you will get caught. So just stay back like I do and try to grab the bow. You can spend those like second or 2 right here to try to inch your way up to not get caught, because it'll save you at least 10 seconds coming back. So one of those, risk reward type things. But line yourself up with that light. In case you didn't see it, just, grab the bow, line yourself up with the light right here, and put yourself in a position where you know you're going to be, so you know how long it's going to take for you to get from where you are to the generator that you were at the beginning of the game. Because remember, we counted those seconds, so it's about 3 seconds from generator to exiting the cave. And if it takes you about 2 seconds to get from where you're standing to the generator, that's a grand total of 5 seconds that you have to sprint for. So just sprint forward once you get to there. But first things first, pull the bow out, get ready to shoot it, and then during the cutscene, you can see I can shoot the light, drops the gate down, and now I'm starting to sprint, the 5 seconds that I need to sprint for. Sometimes the UI doesn't pop up, unfortunately, but if you listen close enough, you can often hear it during the cutscenes, which is fine. But if you've done it correctly, you've already gotten past the cave. You've saved yourself probably at least 10 to 15 seconds in that process, which is really important. Anyways, start jumping when you get to around here just to kind of reload your bow so that you keep your momentum going. And then at this point, it really just comes down to knowing the skull's route. If you know the skull's route, you can do it super quickly, so long as your game doesn't bug out on you and cause you to not be able to shoot your bow, like I've had happen a few times now in the COE room specifically. Um, right here, I was just trying something out, but it seems like they've already figured that out and patched it, which is unfortunate. If you know, you know. But yeah, what you'll notice is the route, like I said, but try to keep yourself as close to the next one as possible at all times when you're doing this. I start the jump from right here and I shoot it from here. This way I can immediately jump over the railing and just hug the door. I'm not leaving the area really. I'm right here, and the cutscene happens while I'm still in there. I'm able to get into the STSC room again. I shoot here because this is where it bugged out of me last time and several times in the past. I could shoot that and it just wouldn't fire, so I was trying to make sure that it didn't bug. If it was guaranteed that it wouldn't bug, then I wouldn't have to waste seconds, but you know, it is what it is. But this is the route. I mean, at this point, you can also notice that I am at 6 minutes and 55 seconds at this point right here, which means the skull itself is about right here. He's somewhere in this area, heading towards that corner to the right, which you'll see in 3, 2, 1. Boom. He's now at the corner. Every single enemy on this thing or anything moving on this level is on a timer. So as long as you understand the times that they're at places, you can pretty much figure out where they're going to be and when. But easy, quick shot. And now I have the final coin at 7 minutes exactly. So now all I have to do is sprint towards the boss fight and get ready to fight the stage, which is such a cool boss fight for, you know, a Fortnite custom. I mean, it's just epic. But yeah, the coins order also, I want to mention, the coins order is pretty useful to know. There isn't an order that you have to do them in, but if you do it in, you know, first one right here because it's the closest, then you go to this one, then you go to that one, and then this one. This gives you a straight shot to the wall. You don't have to rotate the camera. You don't have to walk backwards. You can just go boom, and then straight at the wall, mantle over, throw the boomerang to know where you are, and you're already at the top of the stairs, and even maybe to the right when the cutscene ends. Takes you maybe 3 to 4 seconds to trigger the cutscene for the boss, and now it is 7 minutes and 30 seconds, and you should be in the boss. Maybe even faster if you've been practicing. But one thing I have noticed, and I don't know, you know, if this was patched already, because they do seem to be patching things in this fairly often, which I guess is a good thing. But there was a point where I was able to one-hit the boss on this first, you know, fight wave. I don't know how I did it. I've been trying to replicate it, but I just, you know, haven't been able to. But like that one hit right there in the past was able to basically finish him off. I don't know how, but it was, and then he would just move to the next spot. Not finish him off entirely, but just finish him off for this side. But doesn't seem to be working anymore. But just to be, you know, be aware that it is possible. Regardless, just continue fighting like this. Boom. I got super close to him because I wanted to make sure that the distance between myself and the hourglass was as, you know, short as possible travel time for the boomerang to have to go. I will say though, be careful of how close you are to the astronaut himself, because if you are too close to the wall, it will actually glitch itself, or not glitch, but like clip itself into the floor or even the wall of the roof, like the little, you know, what parapet thing. And if that happens, your boomerang may not be able to hit it. So just be very careful about getting too close, because it can just clip through and you may not be able to actually hit the hourglass. But yeah, it is now 9 minutes in and I am at the final stage. And you can see right there, this is what I was talking about earlier, by the way, and I want to make sure I quickly mention this. You can see the boomerang is on my character's left hip, which means my character is like right here. So standing right here, probably about this high, give or take. I don't know the height off the top of my head, but that's where my character is. And if you see, I throw the boomerang, boom, throw it straight, boom. It's on my left hip. I know exactly where I am. I move to the side if I want to, all that good jazz. But yeah, now it's time for the boss fight. So just, you know, activate the sight, hit the puppeteer strings. If you guys remember the stage music video, hit those good old puppeteer strings. And then, boom, you are good to go. All you have to do is just repeat this 4 times. Be a little bit careful with him. You know, give him like 3 seconds or so after you hit him the first time, because it does take that long for the puppeteer strings to respawn. I actually messed this up pretty badly right here. I should have gotten that like 9 minutes and 38, but whatever. But that is the speed run for the Avenged Sevenfold Fortnite Museum, along with some tips and tricks that I could give you guys. Hopefully, most of that was understandable, even if you're not like a gamer. And even if you don't want to run this because it's like that's too much work, at least you understand how we're doing it. So yeah, hopefully this video was helpful. If you enjoyed it, feel free to leave a like on it. And best of luck to all people doing the speed runs. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next video.